If you're good at the internet, you can earn money.
If you're Gen Z, you're bad at the internet.
And Nvidia is bad at giving us everything in their games, but don't worry, other people are doing it for you. Let's get into the hot news, everybody. I'm your Brett host. We're going to be going over the hottest tech news I can find on the internet while you enjoy your breakfast this Tuesday, September 26, 2023. You ready to jump on into it, Reece?
Yeah.
But no, you're not, because before you do, we have our Cannonball for the Cure charity merch that you can pick up at the link in the video description. Every shirt that you pick up helps to go fund the production cost of the Cannonball event that we do in order to raise money to cure my son's rare disease. I saw a few comments yesterday being like, you're not spending any money. It's all your sponsors' money. All of the sponsors for the event, none of that money's coming to me. That's all going to the charity. Also, half of the prizes I'm giving away out of my stock, and maybe I haven't paid for every single part, but I've paid for a lot of it. Anyways, there are production costs. That's my whole point. And to anybody who thinks that the sponsors are paying me, we don't take a single dollar of sponsorship money this year. That all goes straight to the charity or straight to the donations that they're providing. So there's some cool designs. Check them out at the link in the video description. And you could maybe post about it over on Reddit. Get yourself some karma, especially because Reddit announcing their new contributor setup, which allows you to earn real money, not crypto, by farming karma and Reddit Gold. So the previous Reddit Gold system was it was a mixture of both paid and free, where you could get some things for free, and then Reddit like undid it recently, and now there was some rumors that they were moving into a monetization model like this, which basically will try to, I guess, compensate the largest distributors of content on their platform. There are some stipulations with it, like you have to be over 18, have to have 30 days of posting, only safe for work content can be monetized. But Reddit decided that it was just easier to start over on Reddit Gold, and essentially when you update something, if you hold it down, it can give you this option to provide Reddit Gold, and then you get money if people give you Reddit Gold, which is different than how it used to be. The Reddit Gold actually now means something.
That's true. I was quite skeptical at first. This does seem user controlled in that way, but there's still going to be a lot of karma baiting posts.
Well, that's exactly a lot of the concerns. Number one, just the content farms that exist. I mean, BuzzFeed has been notorious for like just putting questions in Ask Reddit and using that as their platform, and then they could potentially get a lot of money for that. It also just makes it so that, again, reposts are a big issue on Reddit. So like people getting paid for content that they're just re-uploading, which is not their original content. It creates issues with that.
I mean, how many Reddit posts have you seen that are just screenshots from Twitter?
A large amount. But also there is another concern that's been voiced in the idea that Reddit will now change from a place where people feel free to just share whatever they want into I have to post the thing that is maximum engagement friendly, which is what Reddit needs in order to become profitable, because they haven't been for a very long time. But it also, unprofitable Reddit, I think for a lot of people, was the best Reddit. So it creates a different situation.
I'm in two minds of this. I want Reddit to continue existing. I just don't like these engagement bait sites, and like I have things.
You're still gonna consume it.
That's fair.
And while you can farm some karma on Reddit, you can also farm some FPS with today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Falcon Northwest and their lineup of custom PCs that you should be considering for your next rig. Being the first company to build PCs specifically for gaming, they've had 3 decades to hone their craft into incredible statement pieces like this Tiki PC we have right here. That's longer than half of my employees have been alive. But this Tiki system has a PC case that you can't find anywhere on the market, because Falcon Northwest purposely designed it in-house for maximum performance and fantastic thermal management. It has features like a 5-pound billet of solid aluminum to keep it planted on your desk, and specs that are incredible in such a small form factor. Our particular model has a Ryzen 9 7950X3D, an RTX 4080, 64 gigs of DDR5 RAM, and a 2TB SSD. And as you can see, it's been arrayed in our own custom UFD and SYNGAP Research Fund Zebra print and our own nameplate on the inside. But the best part is, this isn't because we're special. Falcon Northwest goes out of their way to provide you with a high-end gaming rig that's catered, designed, and stylized to be not only what you need, but also what you want. And it's not limited to the small form factor Tiki. They have the Frag Box for portability, the Talon for versatility, and the Rack for server lovers. So no matter your desires in the enthusiast and gaming scene, Falcon Northwest has a build that can be matched to it, like Cupid straight into your gaming heart. And their technical support and warranty are unmatched. All of their desktops have a 3-year warranty with a year of Falcon overnight service. That means if there's a problem with the hardware they can't fix over the phone, they cover overnight shipping both ways to get the PC back to them, fix it, and overnight it back to you. And to top it all off, they even send you some of their Falcon Fuel coffee so you can be ready for your next episode of breakfast on your new Falcon Northwest PC. So check out Falcon Northwest and their impeccable lineup of PCs at the link in the video description. You won't find anything else like it for your next rig. And as a little cherry on the Falcon Northwest sundae, they've provided this one-of-a-kind UFD PC as an incredible giveaway prize on our upcoming Cannonball for the Cure charity stream, where we'll be raising money to cure my son's rare disease. So if you want this piece of history, come join us for that on October 4th through 6th. Big thanks again to Falcon Northwest for sponsoring this video. All right, Reece, I included this next one for you.
I saw it in the docs.
Falcon Northwest made a PC for us. I made this article into hot news for you. Analogue announcing limited edition 7 color variations of their Pocket handheld, launching on September 29th.
It's beautiful.
Translucent, very colorful, very good throwback to the early days of 90s tech and handheld gaming. It's going to cost 250 bones, which is $30 more than the regular edition. But they also recently launched a glow in the dark. Yep, and now they have these little pocket ones that look...
I am all for this throwback to like translucent tech. It's
I don't know why we stopped.
Exactly, it's my bread and butter right there.
Is this nostalgia? Oh man, I feel like I just gave into nostalgia.
You did.
Can you slap me? Oh, thank you, Reece. And that's what a lot of people are asking to Apple. Hey, can you just slap us harder, Apple? Especially because there's a lot of reports coming out of issues that are popping up with the iPhone 15 launch, especially since people have had them for the weekend. iFixit finally posted their teardown guide and gave it a repairability score. It turns out, even though the 15 Pro is more repairable, it still has the DRM issue. So they tore down the whole thing, examined it, and there are more repairable components, but the DRM still locks things down. So they're still giving it a 4 out of 10. But additionally, additionally, going viral over the weekend was Jerry Rig Everything's video about him bending the iPhone 15 Pro Max and it snapping and caving in a way that no previous iPhone has done before, especially under the weight of his thumb.
I just have to put this out there. I feel like Jerry has like thumbs of steel.
Yeah, he works with this. He built a Hummer.
That's fair.
Like his hands probably could crack my skull, so I don't necessarily expect that this is 100% a real world breaking scenario for the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it can happen if there's pressure on either side of the device with something poking in at the cavity that's underneath. But it's still something that hasn't been done before on the iPhones. And then, the biggest controversy, Apple's new fine woven cases that are replacing their leather cases for environmental reasons. Turns out just a big pile of doggy doo-doo. So 9to5Mac coming out saying that Apple weaved itself into a fine mess. And their first paragraph is, they are a huge swing and a miss. They suck. Apple should remove them from sale and refund everyone who's already bought one. You could pretty much stop reading the story at this point, but I'll offer a few pieces of supporting evidence for my claims.
That is such a strong opening sentence.
It is very good. And especially 9to5Mac typically, I mean, they're not necessarily soft on Apple, but typically they have some good Apple vibes.
Yeah.
This is very damning. So indicating that even just after a weekend of regular use, look at how garbage that looks.
It looks a little messy.
It's a bad suede cover that just absolutely turns into goopy garbage after even 48 hours of normal use. Additionally, the USB-C port only fits regular Apple cables. It can fit third-party cables as long as they're the same dimensions, but if you got a wider little insert like that, it's not going into the hole.
That's annoying.
You want to be even more annoyed, Reece? Tell me you want to be more annoyed.
Hit me.
I'm going to annoy you just a little bit more. You ready for it? They aren't centered. Turns out that multiple people have gotten their hands on this, and they all have different ways that they're not centered.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine.
That is egregious.
That is bad. So this is another user who had a different color that changed.
Also,
got a stain after just putting their case down. Additionally, this is what the display ones look like.
People feeling the texture.
Exactly. And they posted what they've been hearing behind the scenes. Apple stores are having to replace the fine woven cases on display at least once a day because they become so gross looking from people touching them. And Apple Store employees are actively encouraging buyers to opt for silicone cases or third-party cases. And that's why that they weren't at the iPhone 15 event very easily, because people were just gonna tear them up. So it looks like big problems. Gross.
How did this make its market?
I know that they're trying to make it so that it's more environmentally friendly, but it doesn't appear like this is a good replacement for leather in the slightest. Oh, but Google coming out swinging on the other hand, offering you the opportunity to pay more money for their Pixel 8 and 8 Pro. They're going to cost $100 more than the previous 7 and 7 Pro, coming in at $699 and $999 respectively for the regular and the Pro. But the reason they're doing that, they're going to be charging you for a little bit extra feature sets.
Okay.
You ready for this? The longest standing Android update phone on the market, even beating out what Apple promises for their iPhones. They are promising, at least according to the rumors, 7 years of OS security and feature drop updates to the 8 and 8 Pro. I like it, but you are directly paying for it. It is a $100 price increase in order for you to get those extra years. That's the way I view it.
Okay, I'm less enthused about this now.
It is good that it's the longest because previously it was 5 years, but you're paying $100 extra to get 2 more years of service. Which for some people that is super valuable. They don't want to update their phone regularly, so they'll rather pay in once. And, you know, with inflation, the $6.99 today is going to be worth $2 in a baguette in a few years. So
joke's on Google, they don't even sell it in South Africa.
So this doesn't matter to Reece at all. But I know what did matter to Reece: the Envy edition of the 4060.
Retro.
And we talked about how this drop system could potentially lead to artificially inflated prices by companies like MSI. So this 4060 coming in with the green aesthetic, limited edition, only 6,000 are going to be made. Tell me how much more it costs than a normal 4060.
$50 to $100.
10 euro. It is only 10 euro more expensive. So this drop system, at least with the 4060, doesn't be a huge price increase.
MSRP.
Yeah.
We don't know what the resellers are going to do.
Also, the 4060 is not necessarily worth, 400 euro, but that's a different conversation altogether. All right, Reece, that was a good deal from MSI. You give me the good deals on whatever
I got
you
some good deals for you today.
Good deals. I want them. Give me the deals, Reece. I want the deals. Give me the deals.
Calm down, Boomhauer.
No, give me the deals, man. Dang old goddamn deals. Give me the deals, Boomhauer.
Hey, deals. Welcome back, everyone, to UFD Deals, bringing the hottest tech deals out on the internet. Today, we're starting off with the HyperX pudding keycaps, one of my favorite little
yummy deal, master. Yummy pudding.
Stop it. Get some help.
Are you quite done?
I'm ashamed.
You can pick these up for only $14.99, making them $10 off. And then next up we have the JBL Reflect Mini True Wireless Noise Cancelling In-Ear Earbuds, which are going for only $69.99, nice, which makes them $80 off.
Not bad.
If you ever wanted a monitor that comes pre-built with the whole VESA ARM system, you can pick up this HyperX Armada 27-inch 1440p 165Hz gaming monitor for only $179.99, which makes it $320 off.
What?
Honestly, the MSRP is a ridiculous price, but at
$180? That's ridiculous. What are the specs on? Oh, it's Micro Center. I have to go physically there. You got me. That explains the good deal. It's Micro Center.
And with that, the deals are done. You can find these and more linked in the video description down below. But until next time, yummy deal master or something that he's gonna say.
I'm not saying that.
He said it already. Enough.
I'm too embarrassed to say things like that. I would never. My dignity and self-worth are higher than that. I absolutely think that you. Yummy deal master. Yummy pudding. You know what? I got another deal for you, Reece. If you buy a PS5, you can get a free game.
But I already have a PS5. Do I still get the free game?
No, so it's part of their upgrade program where if you buy a PS5 between now and October 20th, you get to choose between 12 different titles, which is actually really nice because previously you had to buy
a bundle.
Exactly, whereas this one gets you these 12 redeemable games.
Those are some good games.
Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man Remastered, God of War, Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Demon's Souls, Last of Us Part 1, Sackboy: A Big Venture, Returnal, Uncharted, Legacy, Thieves, Death Stranding, Director's Cut. I think they're really trying to incentivize people picking up the consoles before Spider-Man 2, and this is a good way to do it.
Solid way. Good selection of games.
Free games, which is probably what you Zoomers, you Gen Z little miscreants are falling subject to, free offers online. That includes you, Kyler, because there's a new report coming out from Deloitte indicating that Gen Z falls suspect to scams on the internet at triple the rate of boomers. And that millennials are the best out of all of them. But so Deloitte finding that Gen Z Americans got caught up in an online scam 16% of the time versus 5% for boomers, and that Gen Z is also twice as likely to have their social media account hacked at 17% versus 8%.
No one's giving you free Fortnite codes.
I don't believe you.
And then a report from Social Catfish indicates that under 20-year-olds lost an estimated $8.2 million in 2017. 5 years later, under 20-year-olds have now lost $210 million.
Who's giving them that money?
That's a valid question. They don't have jobs in this economy. Kyler, how do you afford to fall prey to this many scams?
Thievery.
Oh, so there's a whole range of reasons why this is going to be happening. Number one, Gen Z people are just typically more digitally native.
Yeah, more online, more in these kind of environments where this stuff happens.
Exactly. So they have more social media accounts than boomers tend to do. They do more digital banking than boomers tend to do, who still want to give me a birthday card with a physical check in it. Grandma, I don't know how to do that. Sorry,
I've never used a check in my life.
That's South Africa's banking system. I can't. If I get an opportunity to ever dunk on Crypto Bros, why are the blue lights off?
What happened?
Kyler, could you fix that for us? Just turn them off. There you go. What scam did we fall victim to that this has been off
Our
the
lights
entire
are
time?
hacked.
Absolutely goodness. Additionally, there's ideas that like cybersecurity education not really doing a good job in school to like actually work with digital natives on how to be secure.
Which I've actually advocated for this.
Yes.
It needs to be a thing.
Yes. And then one of the other posits is that because they are so ubiquitously online, they choose convenience over safety with a lot of different regards, and that also leads to these scams happening more prevalently. But for millennials, one of the things that okay, this is gonna come off really generationally elitist, and I don't mean it to be that way. But one of the things that millennials and, younger Gen X had to do when it came to familiarizing ourselves with the digital world is we had to figure things out.
Yeah.
Like everything the internet provides to you right now is so catered and freshly served in a way that's so convenient that did not exist 20 to 30 years ago. And when I was out on the internet, I knew that phishing was going around because I got phished and I was like, oh frick, gotta lock down on this. And like my Neopets account got hacked. It was a very sad day in my house, but like we had to deal with the trials and tribulations. Same thing with like overclocking. Like there used to be overclocking where you had to like actually scratch it with graphite on your motherboard, but now it's just clicking settings. And so that gave rise to a deeper understanding of the mechanics and ways that things worked, whereas now it's more of an understanding of that they work, but not how they work.
Yeah, as a young one on the internet, I gave away my non-existent social security number so many times in those banner ads that said I could claim something. It was targeted at Americans. I didn't know what a social security number was.
Reece, what number did you type in?
I just typed a random number.
Oh, buddy. Oh, man.
I wanted the free things.
Well, looks like AMD has some free space in their team. That's the best segue I could come up with to get over there, because they have another high-profile member of their team leaving. So, Scott Herkelman is leaving AMD by the end of the year. Senior Vice President and General Manager of AMD's Graphics Business Unit has confirmed that he's gone. Head of a lot of stuff that had to go on with the Radeon RX launches of GPUs, and saying, after 7 years at AMD and 3 increasingly competitive generations of RDNA graphics architectures, I have decided to leave AMD at the end of the year. I will miss every single one of you fighting shoulder to shoulder in the trenches together, the excitement we shared during new product launches, and the joy of being in the arena for this wonderful, vibrant industry. May you continue to punch above your weight class and one day beat the final boss, which is very apropos of how Scott Herkelman likes to communicate. It's a good nod to his time there at AMD. They've already announced his replacement, but this is coming after Robert Halleck, head of technical marketing over at AMD, left in September of last year, and then as of 2 months ago, joined Intel as their senior director of technical marketing. And so it just raises the question. Intel has been no stranger to acquiring the heavy hitters from Team Red and Team Green. Tom Peterson also on the team at Intel and doing a whole lot there. Is this another move that's happening later on? Only Scott Herkelman could, communicate that, but at least the precedent is there.
The possibility does exist.
Yep. Who knows if that's what's actually... I'm not saying it's happening.
He could be going to vacation on an island for the rest of his life.
Probably an AI startup, if I had to guess. This is everybody.
That's true.
You can make a lot of money in AI startups, I'll tell you what.
AI.
Let's speak about some other NVIDIA problems that are happening besides AMD. Their power connectors. The new 12V-2x6 cables have been thoroughly tested when not fully inserted and drawing 640 watts of power. This is what caused the current 4090 or the previous 4090 connectors to absolutely melt. Now they get the 41C average 46.5C, which is not enough to melt them, and now they're totally fine.
Good news.
No Melty.
Yeah.
They're allegedly fixing them by making it a way more confusing name.
I don't like it.
I don't like it, but let's talk about some more NVIDIA stuff, okay? Because one of the problems with Cyberpunk 2.0 is that if you want to use ray reconstruction and have path tracing and everything turned on, you can't use deep learning anti-aliasing, which was a bummer for a lot of people who discovered that. Turns out there's mods. It's easy to turn on.
What?
You can use DLAA with frame generation and all of that stuff. You can make it go on. Not a problem. Turns out mods are fixing that. So you can force it on, but one of the other things is that ray reconstruction can't be used unless you're using RT overdrive with path tracing. And ray reconstruction makes the game look better because of just how it replaces denoisers, and it's a very good thing. You, again, check out our video where we evaluated it right up there. And the limitation NVIDIA set was, hey, you have to use path tracing. We don't certify it for anything else. That has also been fixed. You can configure it in the INI file. You can make it so that ray reconstruction works with any of the other modes because it just works.
Everything just works.
Everything just works. But while people can work around what NVIDIA is doing in the limitations that they're setting, I read a lot of comments with people being like, hey, this is just NVIDIA blocking options for us. This is NVIDIA providing it only for the people who are paying for a 4090 and can run RT overdrive, no problem. But for the people who evaluated it, also NVIDIA's own communication was they are looking into adding it to the other settings. It just has to be path tracing for right now. And other people have gone on and turned this on with the non-RT overdrive. Turns out it looks bad. It's not as good. There's more smearing, more ghosting. It's not quite as a polished experience.
Fair.
So no wonder they blocked it. They didn't want people's first impression to be the suboptimal thing that's going on.
Which from a marketing standpoint, I can understand why you would at least close the door for a little bit while you work out the kinks.
Why you work out what?
You heard me.
Well, I heard people in comment response. You ready to talk about that?
Hey,
Octagonal Square coming out saying Unity's changes are too late. Can you imagine if this had been their original announcement? Most would have been fine with it, and those who weren't probably would have still stuck around. Now the only people who will keep using Unity are those too far into a dev cycle to switch. Then they won't return to Unity. There's no trust.
I actually agree with this. I feel like they've just damaged their reputation to a point that people aren't looking to Unity if they're just getting into the game right now.
That's fair. NKN saying, if I'm not mistaken, you were able to use Android as a webcam in the past, at least for half a decade, but it was possible via an external app. So it's cool to hear that it's going to become a default feature. Yeah, like Epicam from Elgato has been around for a while, but now it's baked into the operating system.
I think Epicam was iPhone only. There were other options like... I'm just a fan of things becoming default features that make your life so much easier and you don't have to rely on a third-party app.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Mr. Woe says, I read the marketing quote from Cantazaro as traditionally optimizing games through cleaner coding via rasterization is too time-consuming and uses a lot of resources, so we want studios to partner with us so they can rely on FrameGen and drop in AI plugins to obtain playable frame rates so they can maximize their profits and lessen the burden of having to optimize the performance of their games. Cool. So now the common trend of big release games running like butt can continue. Come on, everybody, let's forego rent this month to buy the 4080 or 4090. Man, your rent's cheap. You live in a major city, bud? I hear you on that, but also one of the things that I think NVIDIA is pushing, which I disagree with their marketing heavily on. I disagree with Moore's Law is dead. I disagree with, AI is better than raster at this point, but I do think we are moving towards a place where the AI and tensor upscaling, it's not just a gimmick. It's actually core to how the games run. It's like a 50-50 split, where tensor cores are running half of the operation and CUDA cores are running the other half of the operation.
I will say it has gotten better in the last couple of years. I feel like a lot of people also have initial expectations of what AI upscaling is.
Yes.
Comparing that to what I've seen in Cyberpunk and other titles recently, it has gotten better, but I am still in the camp that I want the options.
Potentially, but also like one of the things that they did talk about in that Digital Foundry thing was the speculation of like DLSS 10 using full neural rendering for video games. Like that kind of is their path, especially because the thing they're talking about with Moore's Law is that AI and inference scaling is happening at a much faster clip than their CUDA acceleration. Like their ability to get Moore's Law out of their CUDA cores is, they're saying, hey, don't count on that anymore. But we have this other thing over here that we know we can sustainably scale over the next decade, and we should be investing more in that. And I think that's the conversation they're trying to have, but they're having it so deceptively. That's my opinion. They're doing it in a way that is not forthright with being clear to the customer that, hey, this is a growing pain. Hey, it's not up to snuff, but the vision is beyond where we are right now.
It's a lot of badly executed PR speech.
That's what I see. Carlos saying, dissing rasterization is like negating your own past. So Nvidia is basically forgoing their own history, and we already know that anyone who forgets history is fated to repeat it. Okay, so I wanted to call this one out because you're saying that they're forgoing their history where they were wildly successful, and then if they forget that, they're gonna repeat it. So be wildly successful. Because the history they're forgetting is the one that got them to where they are now, which is the #1 fabless silicon company in the entire world. Like they are profitable beyond measure at this point. So I hear you, but also like there's nothing wrong with a company pivoting and deciding that, hey, this is now our future. They're not forgetting their history. They're just determining that the path forward is different than the one that got them to where they are, which is how technological advancements happen.
Yeah, they're pursuing the AI thing because they see a future there. They could always go back to rasterization if they find the growth starts to slow. I'm just like, I want to see where it goes.
Yeah. Cage Freak saying, I love Brett being real about $400 being a lot of money. It is. Like, do you want me to drop that on equipment just
I'm not dropping $400 just like that.
Oh, are you one of the poor? Sorry. The Unmeta Anomaly saying, native is king, period. I don't know what menstruation has to do with this. I'm moving on. Lydian Melody says, I think you're misinterpreting Nvidia's statements on AI rendering. If I remember correctly, he did say that sometimes the AI frames look better, but on that quote, he was making the full point that all video game graphics are fake because they aren't physically reality and they're full of shortcuts like different LODs, normal maps to fake geometry, etc. We're beginning to explore new ways of rendering graphics using AI. I think he was speaking very generally when he said that. Sarah Morgan doesn't actually love you if she's rendered with 100% raster graphics or not. She loves me. Good for you, buddy.
I mean, that's fair. We've been taking shortcuts for decades with like figuring out better ways to render like lighting and everything. This is just another way, another pipeline.
I don't see how I disagree with Lydian Melody on the interpretation of the guy's statements, because that was my interpretation. So maybe I just didn't frame my argument yesterday in the way that makes it seem like I agree with you, but there's no disagreement here. You can have Sarah Morgan. Iggy Boo saying, sounds like Nvidia doesn't have any good plans for a 50 series and wants us to start lowering our expectations. I think that is true. Start lowering your expectations on CUDA rendering. They're being very clear with that. They don't have a great path forward with that. It's AI upscaling, baby. Those tensor cores are going to take you far. Tom SP bringing up a very fair point that I neglected to even think about or was aware of, saying, I don't think it's fair to put a paywall for an otherwise open source backbone. So in terms of SteamOS, it should be free. And if Valve is smart, they will see an opening to provide it for other devices, as they will still get the cut from sales on Valve Store. That's 100% their intention and plan. They've already said that they're working on doing that. My comment on paying for it was like, it's valuable enough to me that I would pay for it. Like, whatever open source licensing issues there are behind like paywalling this stuff, obviously Valve shouldn't do that, but if they did, I'd still spend money on it.
I saw a lot of people recommending like Chimera OS and stuff.
I saw that as well.
And I know about it. I know it's not as good of an implementation.
It's a broken solution to the problem that I have.
Yes.
And that's like...
I don't want to fiddle with things and try and make it work when I know what I really want is just SteamOS on my handheld.
That's exactly it. Dave saying, please keep gaslighting me about when Reece is leaving. Will do.
Got it.
When are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
We're still going with that bit. All right, we'll see you here tomorrow. Are you seeing here tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's my last day.
Wow. Half an hour recording. Goodness. Be done.
That was
Be
a long
done.
one.
We're done. This is a long one. Go away, all of us.